Okay, we are going to review agricultural basics, starting off with talking about hunters and gatherers. That's really how humans existed for thousands of years, probably hundreds of thousands of years, largely fishing to get protein, as well as gathering plants like berries, nuts, fruits, etc. They had to travel around, and usually they could only live in groups of about 50 people or less. Today, only about 250,000 people live like this, which is a really small number compared to the population of the world, which is about 7 billion. So something like 10 to 12,000 years ago, agriculture was invented. And agriculture is the deliberate modification of Earth's surface through the cultivation of both plants and the rearing of animals. So it's both of those things together to obtain sustenance or economic gain. To obtain subsistence includes subsistence farming, and economic gain is commercial farming. So when we're looking at seed agricultural hearths around the world, you want to look at Latin America first. The types of crops that were grown there include squash, pepper, corn, the potato, and also the sweet potato. When you're looking at sub-Saharan Africa, you're looking at things like yam, sorghum, cowpea. Southeast Asia includes things like barley, lentil, different types of wheat, oats, rye. And in East Asia, you're looking at things like rice, soybean, as well as Southeast Asia. Down here, you have mango, taro, and coconut. So you have different parts around the world where agriculture arose independently, but all around 10 to 12,000 years ago. You can also see the purple dots for different animal centers around the world. Remember, the important parts in the Middle East are the pig, dog, sheep, and goat. And then the llama is the important one in South America. The horse, we think, came from Asia and the eastern part of Europe, but mostly just Asia and here. The chicken, we think, is from somewhere down near India. And we also think cattle, both from the Middle East and India. So those are different animal hearths as well. So when we're classifying agricultural regions, we're really talking about the difference between less developed countries or developing countries and more developed countries, which are also called developed countries. And in less developed countries, they largely have subsistence agriculture, which is making food for the consumption of the farmer's family. Whereas in more developed countries like the United States and Western Europe, the production of food is primarily for sale off the farm. And remember, this is agribusiness. You have huge farms. The United States average is about 418 acres. That's a really big farm. And it includes things like the food processing, packaging, sorting, distributing, and then selling the food. Remember, the big difference between subsistence agriculture is also in the labor force. In less developed countries, about 55% of the workforce is engaged in farming, whereas only 5% is engaged in farming in commercial agriculture in more developed countries. You also have the use of machinery in subsistence agriculture. You don't really see very much machinery. It's mostly human labor, manual labor, and hand tools, as well as animal powered tools like the water buffalo we saw in class 4. Growing wet rice. And then in commercial agriculture, you have these huge mechanized farm machines. We talked about the McCormick Reaper, these different machines that can help make farming a lot easier. The farm is very, very small in subsistence agriculture. And then again, we already talked about the fact that the farms in the United States are very large. Okay, so that's a brief review.